Hello, everyone. Greetings, and welcome to the Howie Stern G Agape Talk experience. We will call this one the Kenya Orphanage Project because that's what our focus is at the moment. My name is Howard, and I'm working with an organization called the Emmanuel Excel Tri-Unity Project. And their objective is to stamp out the scourge of homelessness for children. There are literally millions of homeless orphans and underprivileged children on our planet. We may not be able to deal with all of them, but we would love to do as many as possible. The Kenya Project, because Kenya is the place where we're starting. In Kenya, there are 9.5 million children living below the poverty line. 9.5 million is a massive number. That's more than all of the English-speaking Caribbean people put together. And of this number, there are about 50,000 or so that are living in the streets, homeless, orphans, and underprivileged. And what do they do for food? They feed out of the garbage. And they sleep in places that look like garbage piles sometimes. There is really a serious need for help. Now, we often curse the proverbial darkness of poverty and its impact. But now, we need your help to raise a lantern. And we need to pour oil in this lantern so we can light it and dispel the darkness out of the lives of some of these children. And so our objective here is to appeal to you for help in this regard. We have enough clothing for a 20-foot container. And to ship this container to Kenya is about $11,000. Now, we decided to collect clothing and to use the clothing to generate the capital required to get the project off the ground. But now we find that just to ship the clothing, $11,000 is required. And so we desperately need your assistance. Pour some oil in this lantern to begin by shipping this container to Kenya. Poverty is really dark, because when you look at the impact of it, that's when it becomes very obvious. Many of us would not want our children to sleep on the street for one night. We wouldn't want them to go to bed one night without a proper meal. It would break our hearts. And the reason why some of us are not in that level of poverty, our parent may have had the wherewithal to send us to school, to get a good education, get a good job. And now we are sending, some of us are, our children to school to get a good education, to get a good job. And so, whatever your family has, ripple through the generations. Whatever lives we touch and change, by your gift, the impact of that gift will transcend generations. There's enough money out there. There are people who can write several checks for this type of shipment. We're struggling to send one container. There are people who can send 10. Just write a check. There are also people who can hardly find $1. But at whatever part of that spectrum you find yourself, if you're willing to give us a hand, we would highly appreciate it. Excel1125 at gmail.com. That's our email address. It's Excel without a C in it. It's EXELL1125 at gmail.com. Now, this is a means by where you can send your contribution by way of Zelle. We're working on other methods, but for the time being, Zelle is pretty good. Zelle sends it straight to the organization's account. Again, your contribution can be made by way of Zelle, which does a bank-to-bank thing, and the email address that is associated with the account is EXELL1125 at gmail.com. We're looking forward to getting some assistance from you, whomever you are. It is said that we can give good gifts without loving, but we can't love without giving good gifts. And for those of you who are believers, whatever you give would be lending to God, according to the scriptures. It says, "He that giveth to the poor, lendeth to the Lord, and that which he hath given shall he return unto him." You don't have to be a believer to give in terms of your faith, but you may believe that we're here to help each other. It's good when we send our children to school and we give them the best of everything. But the greater environment need the same treatment. If your kids go to school and get a proper education and they live amidst thousands that are desperate, some toting guns to make a living, you know who you're going to prey on. It is far more important for us to impact the entire environment to the best of our abilities. There's no telling what you may be saving yourself from, or who you may be saving when you deliver a child out of a situation where they were on a trajectory that was leading to bad things. There are geniuses out there that's waiting to be discovered. And geniuses, people with great minds, they work both ways, for good and bad, depending on what type of influence you're brought up under. Please, we desperately need your help. In about roughly a year or so, or even less, we'll be able to share pictures and videotapes of what your money is doing. We've already begun working. Currently, we have property being cleared in Kenya, and we're also working on things in Tanzania. But Kenya will be the hub. It's the first orphanage that we're going to build, and we're pretty much in the process. We just need a hand from you. Now, we don't intend to be constantly asking for money, because we are going to be doing farms. Each orphanage will sit on a farm, and that farm will produce whatever the children need. Plus, we're talking about a viable farm more than capable of dealing with just a few children on it. And in the neighborhood where we're going to establish orphanages, we'll have sports clubs by which we can reach out and touch the lives of the neighborhood children. And so we'll be doing, table tennis, badminton, soccer, dart throwing, different things that children would love to engage themselves in. But ultimately, we want to deliver as many as possible from homelessness and have them sheltered, fed, clothed, and educated. With your help, it is entirely possible. God bless you, and thanks in advance.